right, so hello everyone and welcome to the third week of training here. So we are going to go over a little bit more into detail on how to take orders. And first, we are going to be watching a video on the proper way to take orders and who should you address first at the table. Items such as refilling beverages and how to greet everyone. So let's watch this video here.
Hello again. You're right on time. I've always liked that about you. Now, where did we leave off? Yes. We just learned how to properly serve our residents as well as clear the table. Now that you're an expert at table service with a smile, let's see if you have what it takes to master the next recipe when it comes to providing outstanding service and hospitality. Order taking and serving food. Come with me, Grasshopper. There is much to learn in the ways of dining. Even if you have a photographic memory, you'll need these. Instead of trying to remember everyone's orders and potentially making a mistake, write the residents' orders down clearly and use your dining room standard menu abbreviations to make it easier and faster. If you've ever said OMG, BRB, or LOL, you'll know what I'm talking about. Be sure to speak clearly at a volume that residents can hear. Not too quietly, but not too loud. Sorry. Let's pause here for a second to talk about some very special residents of ours. These residents sometimes dine in one of our other rooms, more suited to their needs, and are often accompanied by a nurse aide who can help offer assistance with their meal. As a server, you'll read the meal ticket and fill it out as specified, including the drinks. You'll load everything onto a serving tray and approach the table as usual. With a big friendly smile, greet the resident and the nurse, then describe the menu options.
Hello, Mrs. Davenport. I have your lunch for you today. I have a pork chop with asparagus and dressing.
Look for verbal and nonverbal cues from the resident to see if they like the choices as you present the food. Many times, seeing the meal is easier for the resident than ordering verbally. If you need to, look to the nurse aide as well as the resident for confirmation. The resident will either give you verbal or non-spoken cues to let you know if they accept the meal presented. Or the nurse aide might respond on their behalf. If the meal is selected, you can begin serving. If not, you can take the item back to the kitchen to plate an alternate meal. If the alternate meal doesn't work for the resident, you can offer other items, but do it simply, one at a time, and keep them limited to something easy like soup and sandwich, so as to not overwhelm the resident.
Well, looks like you might like something else today, Mrs. Davenport. How about a cheeseburger and fries? Okay. All right. There you go. My pleasure.
Sometimes in our main dining room, things won't always go as planned. Some items may not appear on the menu, so be sure to let residents know that we have a few things not listed, such as soups, fresh fruits, or specialty items. Everyone likes their beef a different way. I'm a medium rare girl myself, so if a resident orders beef, ask them how they would like it prepared. Rare, medium, well, or well done. And well done to you too. If a resident orders an item that we don't have, offer a substitute item. Then be sure to tell the supervisor or manager that a resident requested an item we don't have available. Never tell a resident that we're out of something unless a supervisor or a manager has told you we don't have the item. And never substitute the item without first getting the resident's consent. Now for some magic. How do we turn leaves into a delicious salad? We add dressing. If a resident orders a salad, be sure to tell them all of the available dressings and ask if they'd like it served on the salad or on the side. I don't know about you, but all this food talk is making me thirsty. Speaking of, Keep an eye on the residents' water, coffee, and tea glasses and politely offer to refill them as needed. If you're refilling water or tea, bring the pitcher with you so you're ready to refill them on the spot. And now for the part of the episode I call Pro Tips for Pro Service and Hospitality. Pay attention, these are gold. Pro tip number 1, consolidate trips in and out of the kitchen so you're more efficient with your time. That way, you reduce the time that residents have to wait on you, which means better service and happier residents. One way to do this is to make sure you always have full hands when entering the kitchen or dish area, and have full hands when going back out into the dining room. Full hands in, full hands out. Pro tip number 2, if you see something on the floor, follow this catchy little phrase. Pick it up or clean it up. If you notice the floor is wet, use wet floor signs until you can get it dry. Pro tip number 3, just like my mother always taught me, if you're the last person to use something, put it right back where you found it. That way, it's always ready for the next person who needs it for service. If you're stocking items and see they're almost empty, notify the supervisor or manager so they can reorder those items ahead of time. Finally, pro tip number 4. Remember how you were on time at the beginning of this episode? Well, keep that up, because arriving to work on time is the key to the success of our ability to provide the best possible service and hospitality for our residents, improving their lives each and every day. Show up to work on time in a clean, neat uniform and get ready to make me proud. I'm sorry I said I wouldn't do this on camera. Be strong, Jasmine, be strong. Whew. I'm good now. So you remember in episode 3, right? That was me, so young, so full of hope. I was talking about all the great ways we can serve food to really enhance the lives of our residents and deliver primo service and hospitality. Well, let's not only refresh a few of those points, but let's add some more easy yet impactful ways to serve our residents at the highest level. First, be ready at your station in full uniform when the residents enter the dining room. Greet them warmly with a smile and continue working quietly and efficiently. Serve all residents at one table before moving on to another. And again, serve ladies first, then gentlemen, going clockwise around the table. If you recall, serve food from the resident's left side with the left hand. If this disturbs the resident's conversation, always say, "Excuse me," or "Pardon my reach, ma'am or sir." Beverages are served from the resident's right side with the right hand. Again, excusing yourself for the reach. Ladies first, counterclockwise, pour slowly and use a splash guard. Personally, I'm what you call a spiller, so if that happens to you, replace the cup and saucer with a clean one. For entrees, picture your plate as a clock with the main item at the 6 o'clock position served facing the resident. Dessert time. Place pie or cake with the point facing toward the resident. When an underliner plate is used, serve the plate and serving dish together. Items such as fruit or ice cream served in soup cups, monkey dishes, footed sherbet glasses, or tulip cups must be served with an underliner plate. And if you laughed at any of those words, that's okay too. When carrying these food and drink items, the tray is your new BFF. Use trays and tray stands to serve all food and beverages. And remember, this isn't a strongman competition, so don't overload your trays to carry back to the kitchen. Make multiple trips to avoid excess noise and overloaded trays. As always, communication is key, so if you anticipate any delays, let your party know. If a resident from another table needs assistance, help them immediately yourself, or by letting a manager or another server in that section know that they're needed. We're constantly serving our residents even after the meal ends, so remain at your station until the residents leave the dining room. Taking our residents' dining orders and serving them in the most professional manner is what makes the dining experience here top-notch. Until we meet again, Grasshopper.
Okay, so on your next page here, it is page 3. There are some follow-up questions. Jane, can you tell me something that you learned from watching this video?
Let me see. Serve from your left, clear with your right. The pie you point to the resident. The main course is 6 o'clock.
Very great. Yeah, we got some
Hi
Christmas
team,
music.
I thought for the holidays I would do something special this year, and I wrote a poem or a carol for all of you. To all of my team members who ensure every detail is handled with care, thank you for the impact you make, and I wanted to share. The holidays.
What is that thing?
Use a splash guard when you're filling water.
Yes,
Very
good.
Get a clean one.
very good. Yes, so that went into great detail about as far as greeting and taking orders. And then, like you said, clear from the right, serve left. So all of that is really great. The next page is page 4 in your booklet. So this is what we are focusing on right now, offering beverages and taking orders. So we want to inform the residents of daily specials. So I said in the previous session that daily specials definitely will be happening on the west side of campus. On the east side of campus, it will be coming our way as far as daily, weekly specials. And so that's why it's important to join Stand Up and take notes, listen on what daily specials are so we can communicate that with our residents. It also says inform residents of any changes or additions to the menu. So again, at Stand Up, that's when we usually say, oh, today we're not going to have snap peas, it'll be green beans instead. So again, that's why it's important to listen attentively so we can communicate that to our residents, because there are times when their menus might not always be updated in time when there's a change. So that's why we need to know ahead of time. Then we take their order. It says ladies first, like we learned from that video. And then we repeat the order back to ensure accuracy and making sure that communication gap is closed. Okay. So the next page here is page 5 in your booklet. Offering coffee and dessert. So when the residents come to the dining room and you ask them what they would like to drink, they may order coffee or hot tea. We can get them then. However, when dessert comes, we also want to go back and re-ask if they would like coffee or hot tea. And then also always following up with, would you like cream? Would you like sugar? Would you like honey? So that's why it's best if we wear the aprons with the pockets in it, we can store some of that extra items in there. And eventually we're looking at getting creamers on the tables as well. Sugar's already on some of the tables, especially in cedar and birch dining rooms. So again, just never ever let the beverages go below that halfway mark. That's a big thing.
The thing is with me, nothing falls on the apron. It's either on my pants or on my shoes.
Yes, it happens often. Okay, so the next page here is daily specials, and Willie's going to talk about that.
Yep, so just to make a synopsis of it. So know your menu, know your specials, know your all-day menu before you go to the resident. Be adaptive. Not all your residents you can give all the information to. Some just need a short, concise menu, or you know what they will probably want the most for their meals, so just give them the main details just to help them, especially if they have a decline in their cognitive ability. I know it says suggestive upselling. We're not trying to sell anything to them. We just want to make sure that they eat and get the food and nutrition that they need to stay healthy and gain weight.
The one thing I did want to note on this page when it says, when speaking to residents, you'll want to use descriptive words. So like Willie said, when we're doing the order taking, they may not want to hear all of that. You know, they just want to get their food. But one thing that I think is really important is when we put the plate in front of them, then you describe what it is. So my example today, I went around in the Cedar dining room and there was a resident. She ordered, we had honey glazed chicken with potatoes, and it was, I think, green beans today. So as I placed the plate in front of her, I told her, this is your honey glazed chicken with whipped potatoes and green beans. And her face just lit up. She was so excited. She's like, oh my goodness, that sounds so great. So that's what we want to hear. So coming to the dining room, that is probably one of the greatest parts of their day, because when they're not in the dining room, where else are they? They're maybe in their room or hopefully doing some activities, but this is where we want them to be interacting with us, interacting with other residents, and everyone enjoys eating. So we want to make that a fun time for them. And then as far as upselling and suggestive selling, that for us on the east side of campus, for example, is more about maybe for residents that don't know what they want to eat. So when when you're getting their order or they're circling what they want on their menus, they might not have an entree circled, and they might say, well, I don't know, what do you think I should order? Or I don't know what this is. That's up to you then to upsell that item. Oh, well, I really recommend the lasagna over the fish today. And I tried the lasagna earlier today, and it had a tomato sauce and some basil to it. So that's up to us, and that's how I would say that upselling and suggestive selling will work on our side of campus on the east side.
And this is something I know some of you guys do already. It's if they want a taste of something, just get a quick spoon or a fork and just let them have a taste, because that's easier just to give them a taste of something and make a plate, take it out to them, and they don't like it. It's just a bunch of food waste.
Okay, so this next page, page 7, says proper order taking. So again, as best as we can, we need to follow this order of operation. So the first is drinks. So when they come in, you get a drink order as they sit down at the table. Again, in Birch and Cedar dining rooms, we will start having water pitchers on the tables very soon, so they'll be able to have that chance to start pouring water themselves. But then we also need to get their next beverage choice. So is that a juice or an iced tea or a soda? It is important to remember to refill the beverages. We don't want them to go below that halfway mark. Then you want to bring out their soups or salads, or if they have like a broccoli salad, for example, whatever the starter is, you want to bring that out next. When they're close to finishing that, you want to clear on the right side with your right hand, and then bring out their entree on the left side with your left hand. When they're close to finishing the entree, again, clearing on the right side with your right hand, and then going back with the dessert with your left hand on the left side, and re-offer coffee and hot tea, and making sure their beverages are full. Okay, so sometimes there's residents, they do want everything all at once, and that is okay, but as best as we can, we need to slow the process down. Go into that explanation. So last week sometime I was bringing out an entree, and a resident pointed out to me, well, I don't have my dessert yet. And I said, well, I just brought out your entree. I said, when you're just about finished, I will happily bring out your dessert to you. And just that little explanation, they understood and was trying to understand the idea of what I was getting at, slowing everything down. There was no hesitation, and nope, I want it right now. So it just is up to us to kind of slow down that process and get it more to this professional service that we're looking for at Landis Homes.
Especially if they get like a soup or a salad first, and they did pick an entree, just let them understand, you need to finish your soup or your salad first before we can bring out your ham loaves. That way it doesn't sit there next to it, and then they complain about how cold it is.
Yep. Okay, so this next page here goes into LARD, which stands yes, LARD, and there's a pig on your page here, LARD.
Poor Wilbur.
So the acronym LARD stands for Ladies First, Ask the Right Questions, Repeat Back, and Does anyone need anything while I get your order started? All right. So next page here is going to go a little bit more into L for Ladies First. So ladies first, and then followed by men. So food should be served in the same order. If there are children present, then the rule is women, then children, and then men. You want to use seat numbers or residents' names to stay organized and know who ordered what food. You'll want to serve the correct resident's food when it's time. And why are we doing this? It's proper etiquette, it is polite, and then there's generations of history behind it. One thing to note, there will be times when you will not be able to assist women first. As a waitstaff professional, we do need to read our table and understand what is needed and the expectation of the group.
I think children should be first because they're so impatient.
Yeah, children can be impatient, so
But that teaches them how to be patient.
that's very true too.
And also
Some just don't get that.
So
teaches them how not to feel entitled.
sometimes with our residents too, that's why it's so important, get that starter out first, because if they have something that they can start eating while they're waiting for their entree to be made, it'll calm them down usually. Okay, the next page is A. It says ask the right questions. So different menu items will require follow-up questions. It's better to ask them right away than coming back. We want to work smarter, not harder. So making sure you know your menu, work with your cooks and chefs. So for example, salads. They order salad, what type of dressing would you like? If they order soup, would you like crackers? If they get coffee, would you like cream and sugar? So asking those questions beforehand will minimize the running back and forth that you are doing between your dining room and your kitchen to retrieve those items. Okay?
And then to repeat back what information you got from them. Okay, you want coffee with cream and sugar. You want your salad with croutons and a Caesar dressing. You want your entree with your ham loaf, mashed potatoes, and green beans, but you don't want the gravy. So repeat that back to them, because they may also either change their mind or get confused due to a cognitive issue, what it was that they originally told you. And it's repeating back information is something that you do almost in all jobs. Food service, especially. Aircraft, yes. Fire training, when I took fire training, you repeat your orders back over the radio. It's just something that every job does, and it clears communication and keeps issues from arising.
Okay, the next page is page 12. Willie, would you like to go on?
Yep, so for D, does anyone need anything while I get your order started? It just, for the whole table as a whole, and make sure that they don't need anything else from a drink, from extra sugar, honey, do they need another drink? Do they want to change their mind on the order? It just allows you to save steps if they need something else, that when you come back to the table again, you don't have to take another run for something else that you could have just said, do you need anything else? And get right in there.
That was LARD, L-A-R-D. The next page is seat numbers. We're not going to go too in-depth about them. They're probably used a little bit more on the west side of campus when they do special dinners. So perhaps Heather, the next time she's in, she can explain that a little more. On the east side of campus, we usually know our residents very well, because each dining room and kitchen, we only have a select amount of residents. It's always the same residents every day. So for us, it's best to know our residents' names, what they look like, so that when we come to a table with maybe 4 plates on a tray, we're not auctioning off the food. So we don't have a plate with chicken and asking, well, who ordered the chicken? I mean, that's our responsibility to know that. So that's why we need to know our residents' names. Okay. The next page here. It was a little exercise about listening and speaking and taking proper orders. Again, the biggest thing here is remembering that steps of service. So we're going to take the drink order, and then your starter, and then your entree, and then your dessert. And meanwhile, always remembering to refill those beverages. We start with ladies first, then children if there's children, and then men. We're always repeating back that order, and then always checking in with them to make sure there's nothing else that they need. Okay. The last page here, it's a knowledge check. How about Yulia here? Do you remember what L stands for in LARD? Ladies go first, yes. And Jane, how about A?
Was it ask questions?
Yes, ask the right question. So would you like crackers? Would you like lettuce and tomato? What dressing would you like? Would you like creamer? What kind of creamer? How about R, Willie?
What is R? Repeat.
Repeat back, yes.
Repeat back. Repeat back.
And D is...
Oh, wait, not anymore.
D is, does anyone need anything while I get your order started? So getting that answer before you leave your area and get started on your next task. Okay, this says, true or false, you should always take the order of the person in seat number 1 first. Does anyone know? True or false?
You should always take the order, yes, clockwise.
So if we are doing seat numbers, yes. And if we are not doing seat numbers, then the best rule is ladies first, yes. Okay, and why do you repeat back the resident or guest order?
Make sure you understand their order and exactly what they want, how they want it, what color, how much, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, so to ensure accuracy and to making sure we have that good communication as far as what exactly the resident wants and what we will be giving them.
Yeah, I like the option of what color. You want green mashed potatoes or blue mashed potatoes?
Yes.
I like it.
Yummy.
Okay, so not in your booklet here, if Lily can pull it up. We do have a couple pages extra here that we just want to touch on a little bit because we don't necessarily follow this on all sides of campus. But this says host stand responsibilities. So in most restaurants or perhaps on the west side of campus when they're doing special dinners, there is a host and they help determine where the residents are going to go to, which table, who's sitting with who, how many guests. For the east side of campus, specifically Birch and Cedar dining rooms, and even the healthcare households, we're all hosts, okay? So what that means is when they're coming into the dining room, we should be there and greeting them. You know, hello Barbara, hello Edna, hello Charles, welcome to Birch, nice to see you, good afternoon, good morning. And then it's good to guide them to their table, assisting them with walkers and wheelchairs when needed, help pull out their seats if needed, okay? Other responsibilities that we have as hosts or dining assistants, ensuring a proper flow. So guiding guests or residents to their tables in a rotation based on server sections. So specifically what that might mean for us is if you see 3 or 4 residents heading to the exact same table, you're kind of like that referee and saying, oh, you know, I see you're getting ready to stay here, but there's no more seats. How about you try this table over here with this resident? You know, they're very friendly. But that's making sure you're ensuring that proper flow with them.
Did I see him Jurassic Park where Chris Pratt has his hands up against those 3 velociraptors?
Yes, I have.
It's kind of imagine like defending the residents off from getting up on a table.
Yes. Then another responsibility, present the menus to the residents. Again, ladies first. Pouring water for the residents. So in Birch and Cedar dining rooms, we will start having water pitchers on the tables very soon, so they can absolutely start pouring their own waters. However, if they're having difficulty, then we want to be the ones to start pouring their waters for them. We also want to let them know who their server will be. So for example, in Birch and Cedar dining rooms, there might be sections in those dining rooms, and say you are overloaded with knowing I need 4 different kinds of ice cream for 4 different kinds of residents, and you see a resident needing assistance, they're maybe raising their hand at you and you can't get to them right away. It's okay to say, you know, your server is so and so and they will be right with you, or, you know, just let me finish putting down, you know, my beverage and I'll be right with you. But it's okay to kind of remind them who their servers are. And if you're assigned a section, you should be going up to them right when you get to their table. Hello, my name is Kara and I will be your server for today. Because with their cognitive impairment starting to go, they may not always remember who you are each and every day. Or they may have a different server every day depending on full-time staff members versus part-time staff members. So it's good for them to be reminded of who you are. Additional responsibilities for a host or a dining assistant is answering the phone. So our phones are in all kitchens. Everyone is expected to answer the phone if it's ringing. Okay, we need to answer all questions about, it says dining balances, but for us that could be answer all questions about maybe them having guests in the dining room, or where can they take their family members if they can't eat in the dining room. Well, the answer to that is the family members can take them to the bistro or the garden room cafe or Gather, which is the, you know, was the Dogwood Cafe. They can eat in the room with them, but right now we're still not having family members in the dining rooms as of now due to COVID. But make sure you have those answers readily available for them. And then you want to help accept and facilitate takeout orders. So if the phone's ringing or a nurse walks up to you, says this person is a room tray, some follow-up questions. Well, what time would they like their room tray? Would you rather us do room trays before those eating in the dining room? Who's going to bring those room trays to the rooms? Is that you? Is that nursing? So just helping facilitate all that information. Okay. And this next page here, phone etiquette. So when the phone is ringing, the last thing we want to hear is someone pick up the phone and say, yeah, or
What's up, doc?
yes, what's up? Or, this is Kara. But what we should be saying, because it could be a resident, could be a family member, supervisor, coworker, hello, or good morning, good afternoon. This is Kara. How may I help you? How may I assist you? So we need to start having proper phone etiquette at all times, no matter who is calling. Again, if it's a reservation or a resident's calling about, I have guests wanting to join me, where can I take them? Knowing the date, the time, how many people, what their options are, and how can they pay for those meals. So we went over that in the very first week, I believe. We said credit card, we said charge on their account, gift card, cash, all of those options. Okay, and then always making sure you repeat back the information to the resident to make sure it's correct.
Well, you know how I answer the phone. Good morning, this is Oregon House, this is Manheim, this is,
Yes.
because you never know. Oh, I didn't mean to call, that I meant to call, at least they know what house they're calling it.
Right. Okay.
It's just my manners, I learned.
Yes. So the next page, if you have that, Willie. Seating a table is the last thing we're going to go over. So seating a table, again, always greet your residents. Hello, thank you for coming to Birch Dining Room. My name is Kara, and I will be your server today, or I will take care of you today. Help pull out those chairs for them, especially those that are getting up from their walker. Yes, great, Willie, thank you. Ladies first, and then any guest that needs assistance, push in the chairs, offer to push in the chairs if needed, present the menu. Again, ladies first. Okay, then we pour water. So again, they should be able to pour their own waters. If they can't, that's when the servers need to jump in and help them. Before you leave the table, you always want to say, please enjoy your meal. Your server or, this dining assistant will be right with you. Give them that few minutes to look over the menu. And then always remember that D, that part of lard. Is there anything else that you need? Or do you need any creamer? Do you need any crackers for your soup? Anything before you go on your way to the kitchen or anywhere else. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about anything we learned today? No. Okay. So we will be meeting again next Tuesday then.
Remember, I'm not going to be here next Tuesday.
Yes, thank you. So if you are unable to make it to the sessions, we will be giving you a booklet for you to sign off, and we will have a video for you to watch. Okay, thank you.
I'm going to get that lottery, so I'm not going to be here next week for the phone.